Alligator Blood looking for a fifth Group 1 at the 150, led 3/4 of a length from I'm Thunderstruck, who can't get there. Then Mr. Brightside, but the gate has done it again. Alligator Blood wins it.
Welcome to BetDoctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got John Walter up and about in studio, Gold Coast. How are you?
Trying to have a bet, mate. What are you trying to interrupt me for? I'm trying to have a bet. There's more important things to life than introductions to TV shows.
What's that?
Betting.
Gambling.
Betting.
Just knocking prices off. Beautiful stuff. Tell you what, I did my absolute chaminda last week, Ruthless Dame. I launched, win, place, the lot. Cost me a car. Just needed to run a place. And then mighty Lloyd Kennewill got blessed in last with Meritus. But wow, I got a sore bum, and it's been a tough week on the punt for me personally. But DK, you're back in business after a week in the paddock and dealing with some family stuff. Good to have you back, mate.
Yes, back Scooty. Yes, go travelling a bit better this week than I was last week. The old father-in-law, he went off, sadly, for my wife and for our family. But he had a pretty good run, except for the last couple of years. So that was all. She had to rush back to Malaysia and get all that organised, and I had the kids. And then I told you, Junior got crook, but Junior took we'll talk about this because what happened with Jamie Carr with concussion and stuff, but Junior took a big hit on the basketball court, Nico, at school, just put up a screen and the bloke just crashed straight back into him. So he's gone straight back and hit his head. They sent him home. He sort of said he was all right. He was all right in the afternoon. In the evening, he started deteriorating, and then 2 a.m, he was up vomiting, which is no good when you've had a big bang on the head and been knocked out. So off to the Children's Hospital and all that sort of business anyway. Luckily, he's all right, but they don't call it concussion anymore. They call it mild traumatic brain injury, and concussion's a bit of an old term. But so he bounced back. Yeah, so Scoots, it wasn't the best week last week for me. But
horrors.
On the horrors. So, that's it. A lot of people will talk about the few falls on the weekend and the weekend before of all those riders. Just gives us a bit of a perspective, especially and especially I'm getting to my 50s, or my mates and our parents are all getting to their 80s, and they're getting to that stage where things are going to happen in their older life. But how are you travelling, Nico? Any joy the last couple of weeks since I've been away?
Not too bad. Travelling okay. Just chipping away in the grind. Same stuff, different week, pretty much. So looking forward to Saturday. I'm actually looking forward to the All-Star Mile. Hopefully, it's a good race between the Blood and Thunderstruck, and it's not a bad little undercard as well. There's 10 races to get through.
It's going to be a race. It's going to be an actual race.
Yeah. So
Keats in the race. I heard Gav on radio this morning saying, mate, if those other horses want to lead us, they'll be going too fast.
Yeah.
We're leading and we're rolling, and we're going to cut out proper sectionals what Keats does.
And you think that fast run nature of the race would just bring out the best horses.
That's right.
It's probably them too.
And we always whinge and moan about the slow tempo, wait for age races we have down here, so it's going to be a proper race.
It's going to be outstanding. There'll be no hiding, so we'll finally put to bed whether I'm Thunderstruck is a milk drinker or not. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think, there's a bit of a commentary across the Twitter sphere. What's the strongest race? Is it the All-Star Mile or the George Ryder? Well, it's got to be the All-Star Mile, doesn't it?
No.
No?
You're talking about Keats and these horses. Are you kidding me?
He's 100 to 1, you idiot. Haven't you looked at the market?
Yeah,
Too busy looking at the North Korean form.
There's three
There's
good
an
horses in the
average
race.
rating of 108 of these horses. This is a very, very good field.
108's a midweeker in Sydney.
There he is, Volandis. You should be running Racing New South Wales, you.
There's not much. I don't know. They're okay. Both of them are good betting races. Both of them are good betting races. The whole concept's just been bastardised, but that's what they do. People find angles, and they'll probably mix it up again next year. It's got to be a handicap. That's the only thing I'd change instantly.
It doesn't seem to be hitting the mark. And I know there's been a couple of horses pull out, but Sosie Bond making the field makes a bit of a mockery of it. And there does need to be some sort of change there. And just the amount of votes, I think we spoke about a couple of weeks later. It's not really hitting the mark, this race, for anyone.
I know who it's going to hit the mark for. I was talking to Timmy about the slipper. I said, this Platinum Jubilee, this, and he wasn't really interested in the conversation. Normally he's a bit more interested. He goes, well, it is 10 minutes after the All-Star Mile, and if Alligator Blood salutes, I might be swan diving off the top of the grandstand. So that'll be interesting to see.
At least the weather's good and the tracks are good at the moment. We're not going to get a Mooga 2 All-Star Mile. I think he won it was a swamp that day at the Valley. But
36 down here Saturday, Scoot. 36 track's going to be a road by the time. It is straight there, but it's going to be proper good 3 by the time that race comes around. Again, going to lead to a proper race.
Just goes to show how important, I guess, investments are in tracks. And I think RV have sort of led the way in that regard. But I was a bit disappointed. Canberra was a bit of a swamp. There wasn't much rain in the lead up to Canberra Cup and the Guineas and the Black Opal sort of meetings. And there's more sort of skeletons in the closet. I hear all these rumours about government grants and investment into tracks and facilities that just haven't been pushed through. And the local trainers at certain areas in New South Wales are starting to, I guess, wear a bit thin of that. Well,
the dogs are barking.
Hey?
The dogs are barking. Yeah, it's funny. Like, you get one frustrated trainer. Everyone seems forever to be too scared to say anything. And, every now and then someone breaks the cone of silence now. A few years ago, I think they would have had the phones and the drones and the everything ringing. You take that down, otherwise you're in a bit of strife. But if it sort of sits up there for a couple of hours now, you normally get a few other people come out of the woodwork with their frustrations. So, it's not easy to keep everyone happy, in businesses such as racing that are so widespread. But, there's a lot of frustration. And, there's all these country championship meetings. You see that the country meetings sort of roll along pretty well during the year. But when it's a showcase meeting, obviously they get a bit more influence from outside. They're asked to prepare the tracks a certain way, and usually that leads to disaster. So
just overwater them. And you saw what happened at Canberra. I spoke to a lot of people, and they just pulled up stumps. They just didn't want to bet into the meeting.
Yeah, and I think that's to do with these protocols or whatever they're trying to introduce to have tracks prepared a certain way. And, tracks that are 50, 60 years old and don't have the drainage facility or whatever of Randwick, you can't prepare them the same way. I think there's a lot of merit in leaving the people alone that have been preparing them for a long time and understand how their particular surface works, because it's just not the same.
I did have a little bit of a giggle. Rosehill's already a soft 5, so
mate, well,
they're out in force.
They could put 30 mil irrigation on there. I think they had 25 mil of rain a couple of nights ago. And I think it's 36 today or something, 32, 31, 32. Yeah.
Sometimes the hardest thing with those tracks is doing the review. Like the track today at Kyneton, when they raced there 2 weeks ago, like a dead set race, like a heavy track, and it was a soft 5. Yeah, those things coming home in 13s, their last 200, and it was only a soft 5. And then you've got to sort of take that and say, like, how's it going to play today? So, obviously there was some sort of irrigation or...
Well, that was the first meeting back after the floods for them, to be fair, and had a soft track there, the inside.
So was it a 5 or was it more like a 6 or a 7 or an 8?
That's where you need track speeds. But
I would say off the track speeds it was more like an 8, looking at the data. So, it makes it hard when it comes up officially a soft 5 and it's racing nothing like that. Like things were winning by 7 and 8 lengths. Like running. There's a horse that won at Kyneton.
Late in the day. That was the 2 last races.
Won by 7 lengths. The start prior got beat by 8 at Moe. Yeah, 58, then won by 7. Just crazy.
Yeah, it can be a bit of an anomaly, but I think you're talking about an outlier here. I think what Scoot's talking about is generally a problem north of the border now in North Korea there, where they prioritise prize money over tracks. I think down here we've got the mix right. We've got beautiful tracks down here. If there's an issue like a Cranberry and they're upping stumps, doing a Renault on it, God knows what they've pulled into Seymour. So I think we've got Pakenham, we've got Sales, we've got Bendigos, Ballarats.
Oh yeah, we're much better off.
We've got it right down here. It's an issue up there where they've got the priorities wrong.
I still think they could pull probably $1.5 or $2 million. I think I tweeted it a couple of days ago out of the All-Star Mile, because you get the same field regardless. I think the measuring contest or the pissing contest at the moment around prize money, I think we can slice 20% off these pop-up races and we'll still get the same sort of fields. Now we're on sort of
20% off prize money Australia wide and lock it in. That'd be nice.
Interesting tweet. This one's from you, Walt. Matt Zabin tweeted in this one. He's a keen punter and follows the form pretty closely. Synthetic hoof filler gear change notification is virtually useless. Without context, amount, or a photo, it's impossible to theorise anything about whether it will impact the performance. In this digital age, how hard is it for a photo to be submitted with the gear change? I tell you what, this would take, as you say, well, it'd be probably half an hour, or half a day's work for the tech team just to add it to a form guide. I guess it'd be on Racing New South Wales.
At worst, it's a Dropbox you attach that they send them to, and someone uploads them manually. If not, it takes like an hour for someone to do it. So it's
either nail polish or it's
seriously. We want photos of synthetic horse filler now. Are you serious?
Yep, absolutely.
It shouldn't even be a gear change. You know what it is? It's to help the farrier in an area down there which is hard to work with. Give him a bit of extra room to put a nail in. I mean, it shouldn't even be a gear change.
It can
be. It shouldn't be a gear change.
It's
laughable it's a gear change.
It can be half a
Absolutely
foot
laughable.
missing. It can be half a foot missing.
of
It can
bob.
be.
No, it
It can be. Yes, it can.
No,
I've worked in stables a lot more than you, big fella. I
It's help- it's
guarantee you.
It's to help a horse to get to the races. Half the foot's missing and the horse is not going to the races, is it?
Yes, yeah. If you can fill it up and you can put a nail into it, it's
Bob
going to
it.
the races. If you can't, it's not. If you use Equicast, there's about 10 different things. But what he's saying is true. It can be absolutely cosmetic and nothing, which is what you want to see if it's a photo, or if they've had to, fill a section of the foot to, be able to get nails into it. Then it's more important and there's a bigger issue. But if you have a simple photo, which dead set takes 8 seconds, how can it hurt anyone? And it does give you peace of mind as a punter.
Can't the simple way to fix this problem just mark it a 1 to 5 scale similar to lame? So
Same thing. I'd rather have a photo. At least then I can make my own opinion. Otherwise, 1 to 5, if a trainer wants to hide an issue, they'll just say it's a 1.
I think it's just another guessing game, but I don't mind the concept. Anything that helps promote confidence, wagering, turnover, and fills the punter with more information, I think we should try and
It would fill
Get in.
0.0005% of punters like Wild who've worked in stables who know what he's looking at. Give him context. All the rest of the 99% of people out there, they'd be looking at it and go, what the hell's that? What's that mean?
I guarantee you, if you got a photo of 10 different, ranges of synthetic hoof filler, within 1 second you'd be opening it every time. You'd be clicking on the photo every time to have a 2-second look to see how bad it is. You would not understand how important it is.
I think in that case, though, like people saying like, oh, he had it on the Cox plate and he went no good. Like if the horse actually had bad feet, he wouldn't have won 2 weeks later in the Champions Mile with alligator blood. So I think, looking
Gold
at
Trip's
into
got
that,
terrible feet, and what did it win? It won everything. Melbourne Cup.
Yeah,
There's exceptions to every rule. Wet tracks help all this, but it's just any bit of information that can help us that doesn't really take much to implement. I think
Hasn't
it's
someone
good.
else got it on in the slipper? Hasn't?
both Snowdens have it on. in
Both
the
Snowdens.
Snowden's, yeah. And I heard Paul Snowden saying, he agreed, he said it was absolutely laughable it's a gear change. Absolute official gear change.
And that's probably 90% of the time, that's probably true.
Didn't you say that Gold Trip couldn't win a Warrnambool maiden hurdle or a bloody...
No, I said that day that it couldn't win that race and that it should be in that race that I think it'd win that, whatever that camel race is. And do you think I was
Ballarat.
right? So it didn't win that
Ballarat
day.
maiden.
No, what's that humpy race that Sportsbet get into?
the slowest horse. Yeah.
Hotham,
Yes.
the Hotham, the
Do
Hotham,
you think it would have won the Hotham?
the drought breaker.
Yeah, I think it might have got home in the Hotham.
You're just trying to upset our friends at Australian Bloodstock,
They're unupsettable, mate. They just run their own race.
do they?
Well, they seem to.
All right. If you need a giggle, and it sounds like we might after that little heated discussion about synthetic hoof fill. I didn't think it was going to turn narky, but it did. The Comics Lounge, Melbourne's home of comedy, Errol Street, North Melbourne. Great gang that run that joint. Friendly Geordies. I keep spruiking it. He pushes the boundaries. This bloke, 2nd to the 8th of April, must buy a ticket. And
What about who else popped their head in there, Scoot? Did you see the social media post from Grant the other day?
no,
Zac Efron made an appearance in there. Did you see that?
he
that
did.
was just Scoot after a shave.
He's not a bad looking rooster, Zac Efron.
No, he's a good-looking rooster. He's got a strange diet, though. He doesn't have much fun with his life. He goes all these weird diets, fasting, and won't eat any junk food. No burgers, nothing. Is Don as good? He's going to go Dutch, Donny. He's got a new strategy. He's going to Dutch a couple of runners up at Doomben. Donny,
Dutch ovens.
Doomben,
Dutch ovens,
Dutchy, Donny.
Dutch ovens, Donny.
Seen him do that before. Are they $3.50 each at 2?
No, they won't be
that's
that long.
nasty.
They'll be shorter than that.
I tell you what, DK's meant to preview a race last week. So next week, DK.
He dumped one this week.
No,
Guess
he's
what
got
happened?
off the hook off
Guess what
just-
happened? Guess it.
What?
I'll give you how far did it win by? It was would have been Dreamstone. I was going to tip Nico Dreamstone. I think it won by 5 hard L, didn't it? Of course it did.
Are you
So the
serious,
next-
DK? You
yeah,
can't
mate.
say that.
It was only even. So I mean, the blind Freddie could have found it, but still.
Got a spare
Pretty
trumpet
strong.
there, Borko,
Still-
that you can
still-
lend, DK.
Go to the prop basket. Well, you can have a look at Rosehill. She's a belter. Went really close. And I've already sort of given myself a couple of uppercuts about Ruthless Dame. Got that race wrong. I tell you what, they just went out lickety-split. Who could have forecasted that? Definitely not me. Nico, back to the Valley. Nice dry conditions there. TopSport team's been woeful. But this week, I like 2 of the 3 at bets. So maybe one of the 3 will hit the scoreboard there. TopSport, the new app, I keep banging on about it. But they're right on the toes of Sportsbet and all the big operators now. So you make sure you download the app and support the Merlehans. They're doing a great job up here on the Goldie. We love them. So let's have a look at Moonee Valley All-Star Mile.
Great race.
Great race. I think it's stronger. I definitely think
It is stronger.
Hey?
It is stronger.
Well, thank
There
you,
we
mate.
go.
There you go. You took off your bloody... What is it?
Blinkers.
No, that Origin, that dirty New
Well,
South
there's
Wales
3
Origin.
horses, but that's still stronger.
Yeah, well,
Throw in
it's-
cheese
well,
and
exactly.
belter and whatever. There's just nothing in this.
But he loves the blood. He loves the blood.
$2.60.
Blues me more than the blood.
$2.60. Mr. Brightside $6. I'm Thunderstruck $6.50. She's a Belter 14. Cascadian 15. Laws of Indices 17. Nugget 19. Alan Kerr the Query Horse $20. Gentleman Roy 20, and the Inevitable $26. I think the first one we're going to have a look at is, or the only race that we're going to have a look at is the Futurity here, and it was all about alligator blood here, fresh.
Yeah, I think the winner of the All-Star Mile was in this race. I think there's only 3 legitimate chances, and it's 1, 2, 3 across the line here. Alligator Blood, I think he had a few things in his favour here. On the way the race shape kind of panned out, there's no doubt he's tough. The way he comes from late, he's hard to knock. He's will to win, but I just think on Saturday the race probably sets up better for Thunderstruck, given the fast run nature of the race. I think Keats is going to go out and set a very fast early tempo, which Alligator Blood, he has seen fast tempos before, but I think it's advantage Thunderstruck off a real quick tempo early, given he's probably better over further. And you look sort of throughout his career in sort of fast, high-pressure run races, that seems to be where he's at his best. Thunderstruck. The Futurity wasn't that. It was a low-pressure event, and sort of, the map and the way the race panned out really worked out for Alligator Blood. I think there's probably too much of a discrepancy between those two in the market at the moment, 260 v 650 on TopSport. I've got Mr. Brightside kind of third pick. I think that was probably his opportunity to beat them both there. The Winkers do go back on and he gets a very soft run. I think if he's winning the All-Star Mile, he's getting a few favours and the other two potentially have done it tough. But the way the race is going to pan out, I think Thunderstruck's probably the best suited to the fast run race. And if he's within sort of 2 lengths of Alligator Blood, sort of 300 out before the corner, I think he's going to be running over the top of him. If Alligator Blood's sort of 4 lengths in front of him coming for home, well, he's probably not going to get there, is he? But you look at his run in the Cox Plate, he's actually races very well at Moonee Valley. Thunderstruck. I thought Alligator Blood's getting very short at 260. No doubt he's probably top pick, but for mine he's probably top pick at like 350 and then probably 450 from Thunderstruck, and then you can have sort of longer the rest. So at 650, Thunderstruck does appeal to me as a bet. I think he's just set to peak here third up. I think that's the way they've trained him this preparation, looking at him from the yard. I don't think he improved as much as Mr. Brightside from the Ore to the Futurity from a fitness point of view. So I'd be expecting him to peak third and fourth up here, just like he sort of did last campaign throughout the autumn. So 650 looks a touch of overs for mine. Alligator Blood on top, but I couldn't back him at $2.60. Thunderstruck looks an easy enough bet at 650. The blowout might be Laws of Indices, who ran well on the Cox Plate, ran well on the Toorak, run well on Hong Kong, gets a pretty good run, probably just tags Thunderstruck. He's probably the best of the roughies, or the horses outside the market. But I think the winner will be either Alligator Blood or Thunderstruck.
Yeah, I thought Mr. Brightside is airborne. I mean, he's dead set savage. Like he gave Thunderstruck a start there and didn't run straight past him, but got past him. First up, dead set savaged.
Do you think he's improved from the spring?
I think he has. I think he's a better horse.
He's going to have to improve off the spring.
And I think Alligator Blood having to chase Keats could bring it undone. And look, he's a fine. He's a good workman like rider, buckets, but he's no Mzar or J Carr, and that horse is a bit tricky horse to ride. So Al Curry coming in with the soft run. Just things are going to pan out for him. He's going to have last grade. If he savages the line like he has been those first cuts, I think he's going to run terrifically, really well for mine. But the way he's hitting the line, Nico, I reckon he's back him. He's fine, that horse.
Handbrake off too.
Handbrake, yes, that's
he's
right.
had the big handbrake. I agree with that.
Off.
I think.
Well, I know Zach Burton's different gravy, but what the Hong Kong riders when they come out, they come here with confidence, and they so I thought it might pan out well for him. It might be. If he hits the line like he has been, you can't knock him while he's hitting the line, Nick, I tell you.
He grows another leg to my eye, Mr. Brightside. He goes around the valley like he's on rails as well. So I'm very nervous about that horse. I'm sort of keen to maybe put Thunderstruck in the bin. I think, DK, you've nailed it. He just needs to be ridden absolutely cold and needs luck. So it's going to be really tricky, I think.
Brightside's going to need luck too from 2, but if he gets it, Holy
yes, that's
crap.
right. That's right. He's going to extract and suck up and savage, but he could be even better at 2,000 Thunderstruck.
That was my question.
So the plan is that, look, if he comes through this well, he's going to back up into the Australian Cup and then into the Queen Elizabeth. So, which the 2,000 metre races. So
He's had 2 barrier trials this time back, so he should be absolutely peaking, ready to go first up, the Mr. Brightside.
Well, it looks like the first 3 across the line there have all had barrier trials, and Blake will just take a sip, won't he, on Alligator Blood?
Oh, he'll have no choice. If he goes with him, he'll run 47th.
So Gentleman Roy will probably come across and cross him, and he might get the 1-1 or something.
Yeah, I think he's 1-1 or 4th maybe. So, yeah, I think the fast run nature of the race is going to that will suit Thunderstruck the best. Mr. Rightside may need a bit of luck from 2, but I think he's going to be a lot closer in this run than what he has before. And Alligator Blood, if they go out super quick, that probably softens him up a little bit, given the others will have a crack at him late. But it just depends how this sort of race shape unfolds. But, yeah, I can see the love, Mr. Brightside. I struggle to see the fact that he has improved. I think he's been suited in the 2 races so far. And I think he's better at sort of a mile and 1,400 than potentially Thunderstruck. So I'm leaning on the side that he hasn't improved, and the spring is.
You had the Jacquinot blinkers on. Must have had with the Jacquinot blinkers on in that race.
Well, I think
first up, because he was going 2 to Jacquinot's 1, so hitting the line.
The spring's just too telling for mine. Like when he's met them in the proper races, that he's got beat and he has no SPs against him. So I think last start he was suited to that, just sort of zip home. He's in the race, but I couldn't back him at $6. I think the other 2 at their best, which I think we're going to see on Saturday, are just better than him.
No love for Sosi Bonnie off an 8-length defeat by non-conformist.
He won't run last, Sosi Bon. I don't reckon.
Ridden 2, because you get 100 grand down to 10th, so I'll be pinging for that ride for 10th like the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, Alligator Blood's got to be too short.
Yeah, he definitely is too short. Alan Curd sounds like he's just out there for a look. From what Mike Moroney said during the week, I sort of agree that Laws of Indices could be the knockout as well. But I think I think that we can't really say much more about the race, but definitely a race that I wouldn't be confident just absolutely betting up into either.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, not a smoky. What about him? My Oberon off whatever the hell he had last start, one of this EIPH internal bleed, whatever the heck that is. He's the only horse I thought was a bit of the way he went at the Valley there that first start.
Water for Crystal Mile.
Just went looking for a horse that might appreciate a crazy tempo if it unfolds, and most of them are milers. There's not many that want further. So
well, that's what he found that day in the Crystal Mile. They went ridiculously fast, and he just got over the top, and then. Well, he's at 650 in the Champions Mile behind Alligator Blood. He's only beat 1.8. Blinkers on. I could see the love, but he just probably wanted him to run better first up. Maybe with the issue, you can sort of half forgive him, but it's going to be a big turnaround to turn around 6 lengths on the top 3. So, but I think he's got enough talent to be in the finish for sure.
All right, we'll do market only. Alister Clark Stakes, no replays. Amenable, $3.10 Dunkel, $5 Bankmore, $5.50 Japanese Emperor, $6 Sear, $7, $11 What a Deal, $14. High Approach, $21. Mr. Fabulous, $21, and you can get much better the rest. A couple of interesting ones. Amenable, he was, I guess, the victim of the Maximilius form. He sort of got shuffled back a bit. Interesting one. Like even when you go to do the replays, that's just missing vision for like 100 meters. So as a punter, that's completely useless to me, that replay. So if I'm looking to invest in this race, I'm actually really frustrated that I can't go off and look at that. I just don't know why I need to be censored out of this fall. Like when I'm trying to push forward and do the form, like it just seems like we're just cutting the punters off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a grey area.
To appease the people that are trying to bring down the sport or something like that. So that's my sort of gripe of the week. I went looking for Amenable to figure out how much that interference cost him, and I just can't see it. Like I can't quantify that because they've censored the tape. So I got the Jimmy Brits about that. Dunkel, I think this is the weirdest possible preparation and setup. Like, is there any of the horse left?
Well, yeah, I only looked this morning, Nico, at the sectionals. The splits for the Tassie races. Now, speaking of barrier trials,
yeah,
25 links slow both of them or something like that.
Yeah, that was slow.
I saw Paddy Payne said that he only squirted up the last 6 and 400 in both races. He said that's why he's nowhere near bottom yet because there's just sprint homes.
Yeah, to the 600 in the Launceston Guineas, I think that was 25 below, and to the 600 in the Hobart. Derby, I think it was 14 lengths below, so he hasn't done much.
He hasn't done anything. He's been down there for 2 barrier trials. He was living at the beach. He as Paddy Payne said, it was a working holiday for him, Scoot. So There's plenty of horse left, and I would say South Australian Derby could be his go, but he's just going to get back and run on there. And they probably need it run to suit.
I think with Amenable, the sectional breakdown probably suggests, what you probably need to be looking for in the interference there. 4 of the 2 is the 9th fastest of the race, 2 of the post when he gets a bit of clear air and sort of away from the interference and actually can let down properly. He's the 4th fastest home of the race. So
this is the equi time.
Yeah.
For the official.
that's the punting form.
How's punting form got the sectionals? You can't do it off the tally if the vision's not there.
Oh, they would have had the vision. I think
they would have.
I think the sectionals providers get the full vision anyway.
Okay, right,
that's what it used to be, from my understanding.
You get the ones with the saddle. The saddles is on the .com one. They still do the saddle.
Have they fixed them yet, DK? The racing.com sectionals?
Yeah. They're back. Yeah, they've obviously made up with Vince or signed a new deal or something. So they're all back on. But that's country only. The Metro ones, they still do the saddlecloth ones or whatever. They punch out straight after the race.
I thought looking at the guineas, Amenable's run well, and I think there's every sort of chance he's looking for 2,000 metres this prep and gets a pretty soft run from 2. But Japanese Emperor at $6 did seem a bit long, given he beat him home. Sort of the up and coming horse. He's met him a few times, and sort of the Amenables had better of him. But I think out to 2,000 metres, Japanese Emperor might sort of find his best. He gets Blake Shin, and he might map a bit better. So 3v$6 I thought was probably a bit big in discrepancy. And Dunkal, I don't know how much intent there is to win. That's probably the bad thing if you want to back him, because he's going to go back from 12, and they're probably looking at. So they kind of sounded like they're having a look at this race to see how well he runs before they push on to another derby. So it's not like they're full on cranked up to win this race. I think he's good enough to win. It's just how big a start he sort of gives them. But I think it's a good race. CR7's right in the game as well off his last start run.
Good X factor that
huge run.
X factor. Even its maiden win, I think, was at Ararat or something. Wasn't it? Come from well back off him and rounded him up.
Oh, I thought Amenable was a bit skinny at 310. I wouldn't be shocked if he got better, to be honest.
Bank more, can it go forward? I noticed last start it jumped really well. Then they restrained it. Then he threw his head around everywhere. It's drawn barrier 1 here. He got the frog on board. It either needs new tactics or a new stable, that horse.
Just not putting a race away, that's which is scary, especially from that stable. They normally put a race away despite what they do in the run. So, far out. He's tough. He's tough to really launch into as a horse.
Jury's out a bit.
I think Nico's nailed it. I think Japanese Emperor looks the value to my eye in that market. So happy to side with you there, Nico. Race number 10. I'll let you pronounce this horse because it's an absolute beauty. I just don't know if you've tipped it. Just give me a bit of a rev up here. British Columbia is a favourite, $5.50. I'm going to call it Coco, $6. Too Good for Turak, $6.50. 3 and 4 pence, $9.50. Super Razi, 10. Daily Bugle, 11. Ryoki, 15. Lake Ty, 17. Frosty Hill, 17. Jennifer Wish, 18. And much better the rest. What do you say it is?
Quay.
Oh,
yeah, for sure. That's what I would have got out of that. Yeah.
Okay, Coco, Quay. Let's have a look at its replay. It's in the funny colours, this. I think it's in the white and brown up in front.
Yeah, well, this is the first time he's shown signs of life for a while. This was on his home track, straight to the front. I think this is the lead-up. I think the winner comes out of this race. This is the strongest form. This is a heat race, so they've all sort of raced in a heat, run 1, 2 or 3, 4 to sort of get into the race.
It's hard to recall a 50 to 1 chance winning as easy as this one.
Absolutely killed them. It kills them, doesn't it? Just as easy as you like. Celine's had 2 rides on it this prep, and they've probably been his 2 best runs recently. I know he's the weakest grade he's faced recently, but he's racing similar horses. And nothing else with any different form comes into the race that's sort of as good as that form line, and he's absolutely smashed British Columbia. This was a horse, back to his early career. He ran 2nd in the Vars. He ran 5th in Australian Derby, beaten by Explosive Jack, Young Werther, Lions Roar, and crossed the line with Montefilia. This thing has ability. He's just been in the complete...
I think he was in the wilderness last prep. I'd say he hasn't come up last prep, has he?
Yeah.
And there's a good chance he's back.
Complete wilderness. And then I would say he's probably back off that. The figures would suggest that's his best run recently for a while. Led the race up there, and he still ran the second fastest last 200 metres of that race.
That might be the other key to him, getting him in front and into a rhythm. He's never really, he's sort of been on pace, but never real an own lead.
And I think she's a good front-running jockey, Celine. That's where I sort of like finding her. Barrier 1, Too Good for Turak, drawn 13. He probably will come across, but Barrier 1 at the Valley, Too Good Turak is going to have to try and cross him before the turn, which is about 150 metres. Just can't see it happening. So I think even with barrier 1, it's probably not the greatest draw for a leader, but I think for this track setup, it's probably not too bad. She should just kick up and hold him out. And I think if he performs to that level last start, where he smashed the favourite, gee, like he's going to be...
That's what does he hold? Yeah.
He's going to be hard to catch.
It was the old home track.
That was probably the
track spot, you know.
That was my only... I think definitely has the ability. Like, he has the ability to win like that. I'm disregarding the SP because he's just a horse that can just show up and do that. It was the home track was probably did just fine, but he could be a bit in the zone, this horse. So I thought $6 him, he's going to lead on a day where race 10, we're going to know where you want to be. If it's a lead,
it's going to be firm track by then. It's going to be a good 3.
If everything's leading and winning, well, he's going to be in the right spot, isn't he? And I think his biggest danger is probably British Columbia, probably sitting behind him again. You know, if that last start replay, it's hard to see him turning the tables.
Beat him fair and square.
But if Quay doesn't show up, he's probably the horse, gets the relative weight swing. So I thought at $6, Quay was a pretty easy bet, and you could probably have a saver or make British Columbia a winner for you as well. Didn't think there was too many chances there.
Got a question for DK. My wife was watching a show of this, like this show, and an old episode. She likes to watch them. Tries to feel that's the closest she gets to me during the week, she reckons. She's looking at DK. She said, he's W Riz. Like, this is, I said, what does that mean? Like, she thinks she thinks he's black sometimes. Like, she's a half whatever she is, Filipino from Moorlambar. And I'm like, what's that? She said, he's winning at the game. W Riz. DK. DK.
W Riz.
He's winning at the game.
You've got the art of seduction down pat.
Yeah, that's him, winning at the game.
Hey?
Ask
DK.
Isaac about Riz. He definitely
Riz.
know what it is.
There you go. Tell him your W Riz and see if he throws
W
up.
Riz, all right. I'm going to buy him tonight. See what the W Riz. There we go.
Puntingform.com.au. Best form guide in the business.
Their W Riz.
Hey?
Their W Riz is where they're winning at the game.
They're winning at the game. So make sure you check out Punting Form. Best in the business by far. So all the sectional times and splits that we talk about, that's what we use. It is it's a form guide that's on steroids. It's got a big V8 engine in it, so you have to trust puntingform.com.au. Rosehill, Walt, rails in run. Is it going to be fence in run again?
Well, it should be. It's like you said, it's already up to a 5 and 4,000 degrees. It should be like an oven there the next couple of days, and all depends on how much water they put and where, but all things being equal. Last week was obviously inside was pretty handy. Rail 2 metres. It should be very, very handy. Rails in run should be hard to come from back and wide unless it's a strong tempo helping.
Straight into the George Ryder race 7, 1,500 metre race. Animo finally drawn, barrier 11. Beautiful stuff. $1.65. Bookies taking no chances early, just trying to slice everyone up in multis early in the week. Artorias, drawn barrier 1, $7. Fangirl, $9.50. Golden Mile, $11. Levante, $19. Electric Girl, Airborne at the moment, $19. Osipenko, $19. Communist, $21. Converge. One of your horses, Walt, $34. And then you got Lions Raw out the gate at $151. Let's have a quick look at a couple of replays. Sort of getting a little bit boring watching Animo just keep smacking them around here. Fangirl's on the inferior ground inside. Kieran just forgets about his right blinker there for a while. Probably could have finished a lot closer, but he won with a fair bit of
was
authority.
definitely a disadvantage, but it's drawn 7, so this is probably the one time you wanted Fangirl to draw 1, and it's the first time it's drawn out, so probably takes away from whatever. The map's obviously the key to the race. Electric Girl looks the clear-cut leader, and then you've got Communist, who is much better ridden off the speed. Is this race? What's this race?
This is Artorias.
Oh, so there's Electric Girl in front.
Yep.
And Golden Mile popping out, is it? Is it Imperatriz and Artorias coming through the middle?
Diving.
So Golden Mile important here. And Electric Girl's actually racing really well. It'll run a race here. It's silly to think that Electric Girl's going to be running a race in a Group 1 weight for age race, but the setup of the race says it will run a race here. You know, she's probably the hinged of other similar races to this previously, where she's the horse that's going to be left up on speed. And I think a horse like, was that Glitter of Silver or something that ran the other day last week, the leader tends to be forgotten in these races, and when you get a pattern like what should play out on Saturday, I think it'll actually, if I was going to have a bet, Electric Girl to place would probably be it, but to be honest. But back to the actual race, Communist was better ridden, a little bit cold. I think they'll sort of come out pretty neutral on it. Kerwin's Lane will head forward a little bit, and then you've got sort of Osipenko, Golden Mile that have got a question mark with Levante inside Animo, and they're all capable of pushing forward. So it actually is a really tricky map. The good thing about Animo is that even though he's a little bit slow away, he can muster speed. So he looks like he could end up outside leader. What's that?
Do you reckon outside leader?
I think that could be the only place that they're assured that he gets. Maybe they send Golden Mile forward to then sort of hand up to him or bust it up a little bit and see if he can slot in. That's probably what I'd do if it was mine. But they're probably trying to win with Golden Mile too. Obviously they are, but they probably don't want to sacrifice him too hard early in the race because he's not really hitting the line super strong, is he, Golden Mile? So it's not. It's a much more interesting race because of the draw, but very easily you could see after 200 metres he's outside Electric Girl and they're walking.
A lot of money. It's a stud thing, isn't it, for Osipenko and Golden Mile? And
it is, but all of those horses that are sort of query-ish runners they're drawn 7, 8, 9. It's a bit of a nightmare. Fangirl's probably going to be much closer to last than first. Artorias drawn 1. Will they chance? I don't think it begins quick enough to sort of hold out. Your Lions, Raws, Communists, Kerwin's Lane. So it's going to be in that same spot. Obviously went extremely well there. If it gets that same run by Act of God, it's probably the danger. But I'd much rather probably have something on Electric Girl up front, bobbing along, and I think she can hold off most of them.
Is Osipenko off her setback?
Yeah.
What's happened to him?
Pretty sure it was elevated temperature from memory.
Was that a bit like that horse at Canberra the other day? Was that
the Heathcote
that I didn't get well? So what's it called?
Who?
What was that camel called that I would never want to see ever again? Wolverine, when it pulled its spikes out and jabbed me through the heart. They're hard to line, those sort of things. They're a bit like, I don't want to trigger DK, a bit like synthetic hoof filler. You just never know the extent, do you, to what damage anything's done until they
just
race.
Just on that, Wilders, what's the worst? Is the bar plates the worst, or the equi pads?
If
you say one, if there's one, there's one. You don't really
bar plates.
Bar plates isn't. Yeah, so concussion plates and that can be trained as being tricky from my experience. I don't think, like Nico will know too. It doesn't make a lot of difference really. It's just sort of a different shoe. Whereas when they're throwing bar plates, Equicasts and a few other things on, it's a bit scarier. There's a few other plates that are not used as much that are the same sort of thing, that they're trying to elevate pressure off the foot, which is never good.
If you just Google bar plates and have a look at them, geez, they're scary looking beasts. These bar plates. You got a normal horseshoe's got like a U shape, and this thing's got a big split up the middle. So definitely trying to take pressure off that outside hoof wall, I would have thought.
The market's just put the 3-year-olds in the bin here, like Levante, Communist. Like they're coming off Group 1 wins, and then Osipenko beat Afcabin in the Hobartville, which is like it's the form that Communist brings in, and they're giving them none really. Artorias v Animo is fascinating. We haven't seen a match up since the Caulfield Guineas, I'm pretty sure. And then they bumped into each other in the Rose. They bumped into each other sort of early days a few times. I think at his best, Artorias, there's not that much between them, but I think you'd rather Animo draw 1 and Artorias draw 11 than the other way around. So look at sort of $1.65. You're probably going to get better at Animo on the day, aren't you? There's no way he starts.
Yeah, they put him in shorts. You could try and suck all the multi-punters in and stuff like that. Maybe $1.80.
I love it. Didn't you see more? $2 into 165 off the planet. Yeah, I just want to have you written a bet. That's all. We'd never get an answer.
No, there's the old trick. Some of those big bookies are known for going around and knocking them off themselves.
Right, so they don't even knock them off anymore. Bookies. They just turn. They just turn it in and say it's been knocked off.
I found out about all that the other night. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Wow.
One big bookie in particular, got to get one in short, just knock the thing off.
It used to be the go in Sydney. That's why, Dave Dwyer was probably the biggest one left when I was still there, but he used to be the king of it. He'd get a lot of the early business, and a lot of it was top fluck money. Not real smart backing top fluck. If you could get top fluck when the first fluck's up, that's much better than if it's before, because 100%.
That was a good old trick, wasn't it? If you wanted to keep one in short, just send in a big one top fluck.
Madness.
Yeah. Absolute beauty. Interesting, Nico, point there. First time this horse gets beyond 1,300 metres, Artorias, and he needed every bit of it to reel in those leaders the other day in the Canterbury Stakes. I tell you what, if there's a bit of pressure pushing Animo, wouldn't mind to be on this horse at $7. Just suck.
It's the first time since the Guineas where he ran third to Animo. So
yeah,
He's big. He need luck, but he have a chance.
If it had 11 and Animo drew 1, I'd mark Animo like 140 and it probably $15. So it's actually, I think for competitive sake, it has to be this way, but Artorias has to get the same run it got through them last time.
I think
because if he circles, I don't think he can possibly beat Animo. But if he cuts under him and does what he did last start, that was a big win. He can definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons late.
If the fence is on fire, I can see this horse starting 550 or a bit shorter.
Yeah, which is probably overkill because he still needs every bit of luck. You know, he's not going to hold a spot. Even up to 1,500, I don't think he's capable of holding a spot. Imagine if he lob third the fence. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, his problem is he actually, he has a bit of early speed. Like we saw him last start. Like he kind of has some dash out of the gates. He just doesn't jump that well 9 times out of 10, which hurt him big time early days when they met because Animo would get out of the barriers cleaner and he'd just flop out of the gates like in the Caulfield Guineas and he's completely out of play. I think talent-wise, there's not a whole heap between them at their best, and I think Artorias suggested he's somewhere close to his best off the Canterbury Stakes run, and it's been like that their whole careers. It's just Animo's been more professional the whole way through, and that's why he's beat him most of the time.
It's actually interesting. Like you look at the map-wise, leader being directly outside him, no real pressure on paper and there's no, I don't think the 3-year-olds are going to push. There's no horse that looks like it wants to really push. The slower they go that first 400 metres, 200 metres while they're settling, the closer Artorias probably will get. So like you say, if he does happen to jump, Lions Roar doesn't cross him, Communist probably doesn't really want to go behind Electric Girl if he can stay one off. If they all sort of just sit there and hold their spots, he could jag up. Imagine if he lobbed third the fence. It's not impossible.
Well, it's not at all. I think it's the other alarm bells is you've got a family member in Nick Noonan starting to, pour a bit of cold water on Animo for the first time in a very long time.
I think he's just trying to get the price out.
He's trying to get another Doona cover.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a Doona cover out of it.
How'd he go last week? No good.
Get us the evens. That's what we want. I'll back him at evens.
I'll have a Doona cover on at evens. Yeah.
Oh, Golden Slipper's an absolute beauty. Couple of Ryan Moore's ventured out for the Golden Slipper.
What a waste.
Hey, on Shinzo.
What a waste. I wish they put him on Learn to Fly.
Osen Murphy's down at All-Star Mile Day. All the celebs are flying into Australia for their big races.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
He's on the comeback trail.
Golden Slipper, $3.80 cylinder. Red hot favourite here. Learning to Fly, $6.50. King's Gambit, $8. Red Resistance, $8.50. Little Bros, $11. Don Corleone, $11. Shinzo, as I said, $12. Steel City, $16. Platinum Jubilee, $18. $20 Barber. And I'll not bother about the rest. I'm saying that not a chance, but let's keep the show a little bit more succinct than John Walter's 27-minute preview on the race on YouTube that's circulating
I'll keep it to 24 here if you want. You want 24?
Hey?
I'll keep it to 24. I can cut 3 minutes off it. I've worked out how to cut 3 minutes off it.
Let's have a quick look at the replays. Feels like we've spoken a lot about these races. Cylinder and Red Resistance. Here you go. Gaze horse out in front, and then Cylinder with the big white face just mows him down here.
The problem with this race and the other race that Cylinder was in, both really controlled tempos, small fields, and he was, in the perfect position to strike at all times and was able to build through his momentum, and that's just ideal conditions for this horse by the looks. He doesn't look like a horse that's got a sharp turn of foot, even though it is sort of hidden by slowish tempos at its last 2 starts.
Learning to Fly.
And it's basically rinse repeat here, right? The only difference is at least this horse had to absorb a fast tempo and does kick on. Interesting, like Facile's had an issue. Is it lame this yesterday? And
yep.
It's always interesting. Like it is 40-1 in this race, and it's pretty hard to comprehend that horse on the inside $6 and the one on the outside's 40s in this race, even with the barrier draws and everything. If Facile happened to line up in one piece, 40s is ridiculous. Here. So all these horses get the right run. So Little Bros, or whatever his name is,
in the Hayes colours.
Yeah, he's in the Hayes. Don Corleone's back in the China Horse Club. Arkansas kid, absolutely blessed to run a place and to get Nico to collect his ticket here on the inside in the Chautauqua colours. Probably the disappointing horses were Barber. Exploring's up in the red cap Godolphin. I thought it went really well. It's a horse that could find the fence here and is 40-1 as well in this race. Most of them were past marks. I thought Barber was probably the one out of that was quite disappointing.
Bit of MF, could have Blue Diamond bit of blue diamond for them finally break through.
Well, the map again's important here because even though on paper they're drawn really well learning to fly in cylinder, they won't want to be asleep at the start and just hope that the gate lobs them in a perfect spot, because if horses like Exploring crosses, then Platinum Jubilee crosses, then you've got Facile, Steel City and Red Resistance drawn outside them, and they sort of all, like the trots, sometimes they get to the front, then give up, all of a sudden, learning to fly cylinder could be 4 or 5 pairs back, and then, you're relying on a bit of luck in a big field and a slipper with, 3 and 4 wide lines nearly assured. They're going to want to be on their bike early to make sure they hold that position, cylinder and learning to fly, and then they are going to need a little bit of luck, but I do give learning to fly a few more ticks in boxes than cylinder. It's handled big fields, it's handled pressure. It just hits the line every start. The only thing is she's fought a 4th run first prep. He's in his 2nd preparation, so a little bit more seasoned. I do think Platinum Jubilee with the blinkers will run a big race. I think she'll naturally lob into a perfect position sort of in the first 4 or 5. And I think Red Resistance is the forgotten horse. I think they went to 20s or something, didn't he? And I think it's come back in. It's to a more realistic price. It'll just carve across from the outside and probably, he doesn't have to think about it. Preble, he's just got one plan: run, and if he's too fast, he could keep going. And then you've got the closer for me is King's Gambit. It's just it's sort of half forgotten horse. That trial was certainly overplayed. Everyone got a bit too excited about it.
So I reckon I saw 100 retweets and everyone going, whoosh, girl, and here's the gold slipper winner and all this, and then have a look at this bloody thing, and then it's $9.
Yeah, the times. Well, it's probably a fair price, but you would if everyone didn't carry on about that trial, you probably would have got 15s. That's the sick part. You know what I mean? Like it's probably $9 is fair, if not generous, on what we've seen. Like it probably should have beaten Cylinder. I think it definitely should have beaten Cylinder last time. Cylinder was first up, he wasn't. And if they get him to parade a little bit better and he's at his best, which Snowden has done how many times? Made a horse look really impressive early, and then backed off it, and then on slipper day, they can get them back to their peak, and Don Corleone and King's Gambit probably both fit that bill. It's a great race. I think Cylinder's too short, entitled to be a good winning chance, but too short. But I think it's a really competitive race.
It's a cracker, is it? Platinum Jubilee could be the forgotten horse, beaten 0.5.
$17
in the Cylinder sort of King's Gambit.
Get the pens out for Scoot's quaddie numbers. Get them out with the next 8 picks, Scoot.
Well, it's got
even your Arkansas is not hopeless.
It was something probably beat in the Magic Millions, and then she was no knock really in the Silver Slipper, and then just Gay puts
for Blinker's first time is the key to her. Whether
that's a forgotten horse
that finds an extra length. Yeah,
Blinker's first time in the grand final.
Well, she trialled a lot better against the clock at least than King's Gambit did, and she's blown from 10s to 15s, and he's firm from 15s to 8. So that's what the visual appeal of a horse whooshing does to prices sometimes.
King's Gambit and Don Corleone, the nail polish. Nico, you've got a pretty good eye for these 2-year-old horses.
Yeah, I thought Cylinder gets the run of the race. I think the way I'm probably going to play it is probably back him, have something on Red Resistance and King's Gambit probably. I think if Shinzo had have drawn he's drawn one, but I thought his win the other day was huge. Like to find the pattern of the day, he's got the form around most of them. If he had have drawn a better gate than Barrier 1, he'll just need a lot of luck. I thought he was probably in the race, but he might be the blowout chance if he can get the luck. But you'd probably rather a different jockey on given the gate. But I thought Cylinder's probably hard to beat. I can't really see. I don't think Learning to Fly. I think she's a touch overrated, to be honest. The Inglis win was good, but she had things in her favour. Facile pushed her, right to the post last start. For mine, that run suggests she's coming closer to the end of the prep, and I thought at sort of 650, she's a bit of the hole in the market. She's no doubt she's talented, but I just don't think this is going to be the right setup for her. So, yeah, I think the Colts will win it. Cylinder's probably hard to beat given the map, but King's Gambit, Red Resistance, and probably Shinzo, I think, are equally as talented on their day.
DK, did you watch any of these?
Oh, no, well, the only thing that stuck out to me watching those 2 replays, which I thought was a little bit of a negative, is the way both Cylinder and Learning to Fly both laid out in the straight. There the other day, he's, just nowhere to hide race greenly or do stuff, anything like that in a grand final like the slipper. So, the guys angling outside him. But I think that might be a play looking around those two favourites. But going to be a good spectacle.
I think King's Gambit and Don Corleone can be the strongest late. I think the Snowdens have got somewhat of a mortgage on this race. Gee, I love the way Don Corleone hit the line. It's probably something leaked in the Blue Diamond.
Appreciate you finally saying that, rather than thinking that Arkansas Kid somehow should have got on the Travelator and won. That you're finally giving it up.
Did you see the run of the Perth horse as well? Brave Halo went via bloody Wangaratta.
Should go back to Perth.
Hey,
Straight back to
nearly
Perth.
went via Fremantle.
Have they put that Maraschino thing back on the plane yet? From last week? What the hell was that?
Let's go to race 10 for Walty's other best on the card, and Zapateo here. 5 into $3.80. Tiny little deduction, so it's a bit of a genuine
I don't
move.
like that.
What?
I don't like hearing that.
What?
I wasn't aware of 5 into 380.
That's what you were doing pre-show. You just knocked the price off.
No, definitely wasn't
Yes, you did.
Zapateo, I promise you.
Palisapan, $5.50, hypothetical $6.50, Sky Command $9.50, Jump the Broom is $9.50, Jai Lee 10, Written Beauty 14, Larkspur Run $4 to $18, Osbred Flirt $19, Catalan is $19, Barossa Rosa $21, and you can get better. The rest, Zapateo is the horse that we're going to have a look at here, and you're for giving it out of the Oakley Plate.
Well, the first half of this race was the most important. Not that we teed that up, but that was as close as it got to the rail pretty much the whole way. So that's it, one from the outside, running in, and that sees it Lofty Strike outside it. So they she dragged him into the race somewhat, and she's not a horse she's not like a 1,400 metre miler. She's not a horse that's going to grind away and keep finding the line. She ran her race well and truly by this point, so I'm not worried at all that she got tired late there. She had to after just being set a ridiculous task. So that's an Oakley Plate. Any of these horses, even Palisapan's a nice horse. She's probably up to sort of Group 1 mares grade. She's dangerous in this race, but there's not many others in this race that will ever run in a Group 1, let alone you would think about backing in an Oakley Plate. So I just think she's just got miles on them. Class-wise, potentially, I think 1,200's as far as she wants working. So if it was 1,100, I'd be keener. But with a little bit of luck from that draw, obviously the right rider aboard, I think she'll be extraordinarily hard to beat here. And I think they can be a little bit more aggressive in mares grade. They can just kick her out of the gates and put her in the first few. And if she's on her game, I'd find it. She just looks extraordinarily well placed. The only horse I'm scared about is really the top one.
She hasn't a rider at all for bloody ever. Zapateo, James McDonald's the best jockey to sit on her for dozen
Tim
starts.
Clark, Damien Oliver, W. Buick, geez, D. Moore, you're worse than me.
Hey?
You're worse than me.
Oliver?
Well, for that win was, James Todd's a good rider. That's all you have to worry about. Saturday he's got a rider on. That's the main thing.
He'd be no good over the hurdles. He didn't jump Maximilius.
Did we get the replay of Jalay's last win up just to show Tycoon Evie getting poleaxed?
Nice old joke, that one. I knew you were going to dig it in, so...
I only just saw it then. I didn't even realise. But that shows you the sort of class, that sort of class coming to this and getting sort of 2.5 kilos off Zapateo she's thrown into this race.
Would you want it wetter, Zapateo?
Oh, ideally, absolutely. But that run there was obviously on a firm track. I don't think she's seen too many firm tracks when she's sort of first preparation, obviously against average. So I think she's fine on a good track. I don't think she's a designated wet tracker, that's for sure. If anything, I think it's probably not her thing, especially over 1,200. I'd probably rather it firmer for 1,200 for her. Well, it's 1 over 1,200. I think if it gets any sort of conservative run in transit, it'll win.
You know what's going to happen? Larkspur Run's just going to beat it by a nose just to absolutely.
That happened last time, and it was J-Mac riding. I was on Larkspur Run, and J-Mac was riding some other camel from their thing and jammed Larkspur's life. Yeah, I remember it. Thanks, appreciate it.
Racingwatch.com.au for more Mr. Walter's absolute madness. So Telegram or Discord, depends how crazy you are. If you want to go full off the deep end like me, get into the Discord chat and you can talk about all sorts of things. Chico rolls, spring rolls, all sorts of things.
And synthetic hoof filler.
Synthetic hoof filler.
Just on that, Tommy Turbo's just tweeted, brought to my attention, synthetic hoof filler now trending on Twitter. Wait till this show gets released at 2 p.m. and then see what happens. We'll go to the number one topic. But that is fair income, synthetic hoof filler trending on Twitter.
No, it's not.
Few of you could use it to fill the hole where their brain should be.
Titleist golf balls.
Well, if it's not trending now, it will be trending post 2 p.m, Scoot, you'd think.
Any information we can gain, weights of horses, anything like that, it's all good.
Let's look at Brisbane with Donny. Donny's best up at Doomben, Donny Dutchy.
He's a big synthetical filler, man.
G'day, gents. Johnny's here with the best bets for this weekend's racing. Doesn't look like many standouts at Doomben on Saturday, so I've gone a bit wider, looking for a bit of value. The best race comes up in race 4. I'm going to have a 2-bet strategy. I like IPO. It's around $10, and so is Nipotino. IPO was 3 wide and inside day last start at Doomben when I was very keen. Wasn't given much luck. I think this is a much easier race. If it gets a good spot early, it's going to be hard to beat. Whereas Nipotino, it was 100-1 last start at Randwick, ran a massive race. Looks like it's improved. Gets Jones. The blinkers are back on. It looks hard to beat as well. So they're both about $10. So I'm happy to back both of those in race 4. And in race 1, I like Hold On Honey. It's a good little sprinter, extra pride. It was 2 wide on the inside day last start. It should lead here around the 1,050. They're always hard to catch when they're in front. So I like it as well. It's around the $4.40 mark. So race 1, Hold On Honey, and race 4, IPO and Nipotina. Cheers, boys.
Outstanding stuff there from Sir Donny.
Got to be an impersonator, does it? $10 chances from the Don. $10.
He had an $8 chance run third last week.
Oh, did he? I wasn't here. I missed that. Oh, at least value. You've got to get the value.
Well, DK, you're in the gun next week. You have to preview a race for us.
Value,
and you keep a bit. TopSport Steam, let's have a look at this one. This could be none of our bet. $2,500 at $3. Alligator Blood. We're all saying it's a little bit short. You might get better. What price could you get? $350?
Oh, $350.
What is it? $260 now. It's $260 now. How's it going to get to $350? Yeah, it's something weird would have to happen.
I'd say if that's been cut back towards to 5,000, that's no deal having that. So I don't know if he will get out. You think if it was a VIP, you would have bet him 10,000 on being the big race. That might have been a smartie. That could have been a smartie.
Race 8, number 15, Steel City, 1,000 at $14.
Would you like it again, sir?
Whoa. Yeah, it looks a bit.
I think that's about right.
Might run out of petrol.
It's exactly. It's going to have another hard run, and yeah, it's $14 is fair enough. But
tell you why it's a chance is because the day that the boys in the Magic Millions had it running around for was it $16,000 or $30,000 that day, and it ran second. Rosehill race 9, it probably was Red Resistance. Come to think of it, race 9, number 2 is Uncommon James, $700 at $8.
Your horse, Nico.
Well weighted again, 1,100 tick. Maps pretty well by the looks of things. He'll be in the finish again.
Staying at 1,100 around Rosehill's okay for this horse. It doesn't want further, or
might want further, but they'll go like it's a Galaxy, so they'll go quick. So that's probably his advantage if they go more like 1,150 with the tempo. I think last start was his perfect setup because he had the uphill run at the 1,100. It was probably more like a 12, and they went fast and he just mapped beautifully. So like he's $8 last start, and he's what, 480 or something on Saturday. So I don't know.
It's not really a vintage race, is it? There's a couple of beaten up horses. There's some first starters. It's not first starters, first up horses. You would say that the race that came out of was stronger than this.
Asphora can go close again. There's a lot of people sort of putting the pen through her. I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, Remark's probably the deadly horse, like 51.5.
If it drew soft, very much so. If you swap the gates 4 and 9, Uncommon James Remark, Remark would be very appealing.
All right, beautiful. Good to have DK back. We've spoken about nail polish, synthetic hoof filler a fair bit. Hopefully we can turn everyone's fortune around. Tough week last week on the punt for some, for me mostly.
Very quiet, isn't it? It's hard to have a bet at the moment. It's tough. So
isn't it? Yeah, and I think Nico shouldered arms a fair bit last week, and probably a wise move. And yeah, as you say, patience is probably the number one thing in this game. So fingers crossed.
It's weird. You normally get some like nice progressive horses that come up. It's just at the moment things aren't falling, but can turn quickly.
All right. Good luck on the weekend, lads.
On you, boys.
Thanks, boys.
We'll see you next week.